Hello, I'm Tan the Tan BOTC channel. This is just a more brief stream. So when I was just thinking about, I was talking to Dave about different main characters of video games, and one of the ones I was passionate about was the Dragonborn from Skyrim. And I went off talking also about the hero of Kvatch and the Nerevarine from Morrowind, just talking about general feats. And usually, when I'm in Discord comments compared to my comments on YouTube, where I have to be a little bit more professional, I put periods and commas and stuff where they need to be, or need to form them differently, like paragraphs, if there are paragraphs, that is. But as well as with the book. But look at like everything I wrote within just the time I took a picture of these characters. Ask this question, and then this is everything I wrote just from what and you can see within the time that I wrote it all to my friend about this stuff. So it really is not a hard thing for me to come up with stuff and to say stuff, especially if I'm passionate about it. And then I thought to myself a couple things. I also made some jokes. I thought about some more things people in those comments got wrong, so I actually had to get out the goddamn dictionary descriptions of what people got out. So somebody called me unhinged, wildly irrational, and out of touch with reality. So ironic because most of the comments on that video felt exactly like that. Matter of fact, there are a lot of people within what I was discussing that were like that, sadly. Uh, he seems slightly unhinged and has a very violent temper. And I mentioned that I won't deny that I had a temper, but violent, wouldn't that have to include me actually either being violent in a literal sense or having to show that? And you can't really show that through a comment, really, a comment or two, but I don't think it works here with that meaning. So they're just throwing a word at the wind and thinking that it rolls. And now whining. First off, like I said here, I feel like this stuff also lives up to somebody's always whined in their life at some point, both as a child and as an adult. Whether you're having an argument with your wife and or husband, or you're having I feel like an argument is kind of a whine in of itself, like you whining, or you talking about something you're passionate about or nerding out about it, or having a like nerdy discussion with one of your friends. Uh, Freedom of whining. But everybody has whined at one point or another, depending also on how much you may or may not do it. But everybody has frickin' done it. So to frickin' throw that out there is just very childish in of itself, ironically. And the even more ironic part is the definition of whining doesn't even have any of that in it. You can't really get unless you read it that way, but that's just your perspective. That doesn't mean that it's right. But it does, you can't get a sound out of a freaking comment that you read. So, yeah, even whining was the wrong word to use. So, people were just throwing words at the wind because that's the only words they knew to use. They didn't know how to use them, and what whining really isn't a problem unless you're using it in a way that affects somebody else negatively. And I don't think I was doing that. But either way, like freedom to whine. And I don't think I exhibited any of these other like factors like anxiety. And I have anxiety, but I didn't exhibit any of that when I wrote those freaking comments. So once again, also wrong about that. Once again, you got to know the motivations, the reason why the person wrote it, and how they wrote it, and the time that it took. And yeah, people clearly do not think about this stuff. But yeah, I was passionate about this. I just wrote down things. Of course, I don't do periods and stuff unless it's at the very end of something I wrote, because I don't take writing stuff in Discord nearly as seriously, and I'm a little faster with it. But yeah, you can clearly see that my just general, even when I'm just talking about something casually, is that I do write a lot. And I've actually had two books that I've been writing. I'll have to show those. The only reasons I haven't shown those yet is because I don't want anybody seeing them yet until like uh, I'm done with them and then publish them. But yeah, and I've even done a lot of this even before I started writing books. This is just generally how I think, how I like write certain things. I just come up with different ideas and such. Uh, Sometimes I am imaginative with what I talk about and such. I've come up with some of my own cool ideas, at least I think, and I'm quite an imaginative person. When I was a kid, my form of play was me running around in circles in my bedroom, and I would kind of project in my mind what I was seeing in front of me of the kind of fun I was having and what I was creating there using my imagination. I did a lot of that when I was playing as a kid. And I would also do the voices of said characters to myself, hence why I'm able to do probably a lot of the voices I do today. Uh, Whether it was like Optimus Prime or something, or Locust from Gears of War, or Carl Weezer. But yeah, a lot of the time I had different imaginations of things, and it kind of came to where I am now. There are other reasons that some people might see me as childish. There are problems with the way I was raised by my family, but I have fought my way through a lot of that stuff. And I'm not trying to throw pity points. A lot of people also assume that stuff, and I've had people trying to bring backlash about that, which frick off. Everybody's experienced some form of like trauma or something, some hardship in their life. This was mine. I'm just saying that. So, and my mom was not the greatest at raising us. So I technically had to raise myself later and separate myself from that manipulative and sadly other terrible things that started to crop up from that family and separate myself from it. So there's a lot of things to consider there and to think about, and a lot of people either don't care or don't want to consider those things, or even don't even consider them into the discussion at hand as we considered now, as well as how that person probably thinks or feels. But whatever. People are like that, and it sucks nonetheless. But not every person. There are good people in the world, and there are the opposite. But like I say with communities, not everybody is bad in a community. Uh, Sadly, the bad does stand out more sometimes than the good, but it is better to focus on the good than the bad. But nonetheless, and I like to think that my video where I talked about the video games thing, how why video games probably feel worse to some people nowadays, you could kind of um, like what is the freaking word for it? You could kind of use that as an example of how you probably feel about people in general nowadays. In a way, it's not exactly, but there's some similarities you can maybe use about like how some people feel like people are getting worse nowadays and stuff. But whatever your use of it, I don't know. I've seen many different examples as well as many different people say different sort of things that whatever. I don't know. I get off topic a lot, but I wanted to bring this up too because this was just something random that I had done. I took a picture of these guys for my friends. Actually took two pictures. I should bring up another one at some point. But yeah, and we just try to have fun in this Discord chat. But nonetheless, I thought about this. I brought it up to my friends. I even copied the definitions down to them so that they can see. And now you see. But nonetheless, like maybe it's going too far into it. Like the fact I even need these to freaking explain that is kind of, like I said, ridiculous on its own. But yeah, nonetheless, you have an awesome day. If you found something interesting from this, you have a great day. I'm sorry if I misspell some stuff. I'm sure there are certainly some misspellings in here. Once again, I don't really care as much when I'm typing this stuff down when it comes to Discord because I don't nearly take it as seriously. It's our goofing off Discord, so whatever. But you have a great day nonetheless. I will see you next time.